posture or?
So Robin asked a really good question. Sometimes we see people that have that hump, that big hump in their back, in their upper back, and she asked if that's from posture. It could be hereditary too. Okay, so we don't know, but what we do know is that movement helps, and movement in that space helps, and as often as we can look out at the horizon as opposed to looking down, that also helps in really big ways, okay? So first off, we're going to pause, let our shoulders drop away from our ears, and take a deep breath into your body and just into your belly. And take that in and then exhale and let everything out. Okay, and sometimes for some people, like giving too much information, it just overwhelms them. So remember, we don't have to take it in. We can take in what works for us and leave the rest. And just allowing that breath to come in and out of your body. And if you're at home, I definitely would encourage a deep exhale through your mouth. All right, so let's go ahead and open our eyes and take your left hand and bring it to the top of your shoulder. Okay, so left hand to the top of the right shoulder. And then I want you to kind of squeeze it. And so all I'm doing is just a little bit of squeeze. Don't hurt your wrist or your hands, but just give it a gentle squeeze. And then I want you to bring that shoulder up and drop it down. So keeping the squeeze, draw the shoulder up and let it down. And one more time, draw the shoulder up and let it down and release that. And if you need to shake out the hand, that's fine. Sometimes I forget that it takes a long time to be able to grip sometimes. And sometimes we've over-gripped in our lives too. All right, do the same thing to the other side. So grabbing hold of that shoulder, lifting the shoulder up, giving it a gentle squeeze, or maybe it feels good to give it a good one, and then drop. No bruises though, that's the only thing we want to stay away from. Inhale up, exhale, drop. And one more time, up, squeeze, and drop. And then bringing the hands to the legs and just kind of being aware. If you feel a difference, this might be something that if you have a headache or you're just feeling like, wow, my shoulders are way up by my ears, doing something that took you 30 seconds could help you throughout your day, right? Okay, so now we're going to allow ourselves to move forward. So chest forward, head forward. We might notice, something's kind of tugging up here for some of us. And then we're going to go way far back, and something might feel up here. And then we're going to go way far forward again. Okay, we might feel that in the tops of the shoulders or the neck. And then we go way far back. And then we land ourselves right in the middle of that. Push through the crown of the head. Allow the shoulders to drop even further away from the ears. Then keeping your spine right where it's at, below at your neck to your tail. I want you just to move your head. So you're going to bring your head out and try not to move the rest of your spine. But what happens is most of the spine wants to move along. And then bring your head and give yourself a couple chins. And forward and back. Just do that a couple times, just being aware of what happens to the tops of the shoulders. Do you feel anything as you come forward and back? Because for most of us, when our chin is forward, it's going to pull up here. And it's going to have to grip and be tight. And so you want to bring your head right over the spine to allow less gripping for some of us. And one more time, just being aware. Now, the added thing, if a lot of you have come to me with low back pain, this can also grab at your low back so it's far away, but just having your head forward or down can grip the low back. So you just being aware of your head being right over your spine sometimes can really help, okay? So now we're going to inhale, bring our belly forward, chest forward, look on up. And exhale, go back. And I want you to make this the easiest you can. So not really diving into all the vertebrae or all the muscles, but allowing yourself just to flow here. And allowing that connection with your breath. As you inhale, you come forward. As you exhale, you go back. And keep that up 4 more times. It's more about the breath here, connecting movement with the breath. Last one. Slowing things down, thinking about ease here. And then you're going to come back to center. See if you can find your sit bones way down below, but you're going to root down through your sit bones. So there's going to be a place that you find a connection of your sit bones. Once you equally press those down, it's going to shoot you up taller. And then your head is going to try to be right over your spine. You're going to drop your shoulders. Breath in, move belly forward, chest forward, head forward. Then you're going to swoop to the right, back in space, left and forward. And your pelvis and your legs are going to try to stay in one place. But the spine, the whole spine is going to try to revolve around the pelvis. And you might feel your head come forward, and your head come to the side, and back, and to the other side. And another great thing is to remember is that no position is bad. Our bodies are so adaptable and beautiful. They will work with anything. But when we do it all the time and build a repetitive pattern, sometimes the body says, I've had enough of that. So head forward isn't bad. It's just that we don't want to do it all the time. So bringing that head back, and once you get there, pause and go the other way. Noticing what that head does as you swirl that spine around. Connect into your breath. Last time here, allowing you to find a center. Your sit bones, you try to feel them. As you root down through them, your head goes taller to the ceiling and your shoulders drop. Good. All right, from here, we'll go ahead and just do a few simple, again, connect with the breath, head movements. So you're gonna stay tall, that's the most important. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, look to the right. We're going to keep this left shoulder back and just look as far as we can to the right. And then we're going to tip our head, our right ear, towards our back shoulder. So looking to the right, right ear tips towards that shoulder blade. And then maybe this left arm we investigate. Like, what feels good in our body? Does it feel good just to keep the hand on the knee? Does it feel good to reach it out, down, out? What feels good to you? And connecting with your breath again here. And letting the breath yourself, gaze over to the left, ear tips back. What you're trying to get is a stretch here through the front of the neck. And then you might play with right arm, seeing how each side's different. Play, get curious. Breathe. Good, coming back to center. We'll go ahead and find our twisty points. So we're going to turn our navel to the left, our sternum to the left, our gaze to the left. And then if the head is first, before you turn your head, let it stay in line with the sternum so you're coming out of the pose quite a bit. Notice if your head's forward, or you might see if it's forward or take it forward, and then allow it to be right over the spine. Keep it over the spine and start to turn your head towards the back of the room. You might find you don't go as far as you normally do. That's what I'm finding. So it's just a tendency for me to be able to put my head forward and really spin it out. Today we're just inviting the head to stay over the spine and offering what we can. 2 breaths here. Maybe you find as you stay, you're able to go a little bit deeper. One more breath here. Letting that breath come all the way out, pausing at center. Turning yourself over to the right, navel to the right, sternum to the right. And we're going to back our head out so that our head's aligned with our sternum. And then you're going to let your head come forward possibly, then bring it back right over that spine. And then turn it to the back of the room or to the right or wherever you want to go. And noticing how each side's different. It might be very different. You might not notice anything. And we'll stay here and breathe. See if the head wants to turn just a little bit more here. Deep breath in. As you exhale, we'll come back to center. A few cat-cows here, allowing belly to come forward. Tail goes back. Chest comes forward. You might look up. Notice if there's any too much of a pull on the tops of the shoulders as you look up. Today you might do less. And then as you let that breath out, you're going to roll and tuck. Chin towards the chest. Inhaling forward. Again, I don't want you to think any of these positions are bad. We just want to be aware of what's connected, what our patterns are, and how we can work with them. And one more time here. Opening up and fully rounding, getting full mobility in that spine. Back to center you come. We'll find ourselves on our stomach. So however you creatively want to get there, or I like to say gracefully or not gracefully, find yourself down there. So as you get there, some of you might have a lot of curve in your low back. And when we get into these positions, you might already know that a little padding underneath your hip bones feels better for you. So we might play with that, allowing just a little towel or a little prop to be up underneath the hip bones so we can get more into our neck. And that's a whole other conversation, but I'll just say quickly that Sometimes one of the curves likes to do all of the work, and so my low back likes to do all the work and I don't get so much in my neck. So I'm going to give myself a little prop, try that out. You don't have to though, but you might try it, okay? So hands by the sides of the shoulders, tops of feet on the mat. You're going to have your nose almost touch the mat. And right here, most likely your head is a little bit forward of your shoulders. And then you're going to bring your head directly up. So it's like you imagine you have a ponytail and it goes right up to the sky. Then go ahead and lift your chest off of the ground. Keep looking towards the ground. Think about one shoulder going back, the other shoulder going back, and then maybe the head lifts. If you tried this blanket, you're like, nah, don't like it, then take it out. Go ahead and come on down. We'll play with that a few times. Nose almost touches. Most likely that's your head forward of your shoulders. Imagine you have a ponytail and somebody gave it a gentle tug and brought your head in line with your spine. Then lift your heart, your chest. Start to look on up. As you exhale, come on down. Your choice. If you're using your hands, that's fine. If you want to get more back strength, you won't use your hands. Again, head on, nose almost touches. Take a deep breath in, lift your head. Then lift your heart and chest. One shoulder goes back, the other shoulder goes back, and you lift your head. 2 more times. Nose almost touches. Deep breath in, ponytail up to the sky. Lift your chest. One shoulder goes back, the other shoulder goes back, and then we lift our head. Last time. Nose almost touches. Head comes back. In line with the spine. Lift your heart, your chest. One shoulder goes back, the other shoulder goes back, and then we lift our head. Once you get into your next like baby cobra or full cobra or whatever you want to call it, stay there. See if you can take 2 breaths in this pose. If it gets to be too exerting, come down. Be nice to yourself. You got 1 more breath to go. Lower yourself all the way down. Have your hands out in front. Elbows right underneath the shoulders. Fingers spread. From here, we'll start with our Sphinx pose. So what you're going to think about is head is going to gaze down. And I want you to think about your head again a little bit forward of your shoulders. Then you're going to lift your head and see if you can bring it right in line with the spine. And then start to think from your bottom of your ribs, you're going to start to open up. So you start to open, lift. The last thing to go is your head. We'll try that again. Head goes down. Lift just your ponytail up to the sky first. Get your head in line with the spine. Then think about your lowest ribs and you start to open. Each one as your heart starts to shine forward. And then you start to look up. You can do that a couple more times. Head goes down. You might feel your shoulders kind of shrug and pause. And then when you're ready, ponytail goes up, head's in line with the spine. Think about all your ribs opening up here. And you can keep on playing with that, or if you want to go for a little bit more core work today, you're going to bring your head in line with your spine. Curl your toes under. Push down through your forearms, your lower arms, and start to bring your belly off of the ground. You can keep your knees on the ground for today. You might end up bringing your elbows towards your knees and your knees towards your elbows, and you try to feel your core fire up, and then we'll come on out. Tops of feet on the mat into your Sphinx pose. Option to do that 2 more times. Bending your head so it's in line with the spine. Drawing belly, pelvis off of the ground. Pretend like your elbows and your knees are coming towards each other. Tuck your tail slightly, and then come on down. Open on up, opposite. Last time, curl toes. Lift belly, lift pelvis, elbows and knees come towards each other. Use that core, tuck your tail, and then come on down, Sphinx pose. Good job. Once you're in your Sphinx pose, we're going to draw our elbows down and gently push down through our elbows, and that might lift us a little bit higher. Then we're going to pretend like we're dragging our elbows back, and we're going to imagine our heart can shine a little bit more forward. If it feels like your head's kind of pinching, you can shrug it down and up until you find this perfect place for you. Down and up possibly. And injury is actually a good thing sometimes because it teaches us. Like, it'll really tell you when you're injured or inflamed, like what's really good for your body, what's a position it really needs and likes. And then hopefully we remember that position one more time. And then we'll go ahead and bring those hands by the sides of our chest. Curl our toes under. Hug your elbows in strong towards each other. Push down through your hands and try to come on up to all fours. And then let's find ourselves in child's pose, because that can be a lot on our low back, especially if our low back likes to be really archy for us. So we'll bring our toes together, our knees apart, and walk our hands way out in front of us. Let the head drop onto the mat. And we'll take 3 breaths there. And then can we allow our tail to really drop down towards our heels? And as we feel our tail dropping, we don't want to cause any pain. We're just looking for gravity to take us as far as our body's comfortable. If we get into that position of dropping, then you might walk one hand forward, the other hand forward, lift the head just slightly, and then drop the head. So it's like you're getting longer through your neck, and you drop that head and you're really long through your spine. On your next inhale, come on up to all fours. We're going to play cat-cow to child's pose. So if you didn't bring your blanket out and your knees are going to feel this, feel free to grab it. So on your inhale, you're going to drop your belly, let your heart melt. See if you can feel your shoulder blades coming closer together. Notice how your head's a little bit forward of your spine. Bring it up in line with the spine and then lift your head. And then tuck your tail around your upper back, chin towards the chest. Keep that tuck of the tail. Drop your tail down towards your heels and come into a momentary kind of child's-like pose. Inhaling, coming on up to all fours. Dropping belly, heart, shoulder blades come towards each other. Head in line with the spine first. So pull your ponytail up to the sky. Then lift the head. On your next exhale, tuck, round everything. Then let the tail drop towards the heels and come into any shape of child's pose you want. We're going to do that 3 more times if you choose. If you want to stay in child's pose, you sure can. Breathing in as you go into cat. Breathing out into cow, breathing out as you come into cat, and then dropping that tail and coming into child's pose for a moment. So let me say that again. As you inhale, you're going to come into cow. That's your sway back. As you exhale, you're going to come into cat, you're rounding. Then you're going to drop that tail, keep the tail tucked. Come into child's pose. You got 2 more of those to go. It can be at your own pace. as you do your last one, make sure that when you drop your belly, your chest into cow, you're bringing those shoulder blades together. You're being very aware where your head's at. Is it in line with the spine? And then lifting your chin. Tucking your tail on under child's pose. We'll all meet in child's pose. Stay there for 2 breaths. You might end up lifting your head, imagining a turtle's head coming out of the shell, getting longer through that neck, and then dropping the head, walking the hands just a little bit further towards the front of the mat if that's doable. If the shoulders are getting angry, maybe you take them out to a cactus position instead. If your arms are up overhead and it feels all right to bring the palms of your hands together and then your thumbs towards your shoulder blades. You could try that one out. You might even walk your elbows a little bit closer towards the front of the mat. And then thumbs towards the shoulder. Go ahead and inhale, come on up to all fours. Letting the breath out as you end up on all fours. When you're in all fours, kind of being aware, is your head just dropping itself forward. For today, it's going to try to stay in line with the spine. Goes down, you pretend like you got that ponytail, you keep on looking down towards your mat, head in line with the spine, reach right leg back. Point your toes down towards the mat. We'll always check in with our hips. We want that glass of water to our low back. So some of you might be able to take that left hand and just check in. The left hand might go to the low back and make sure you don't have a tilt in your pelvis or a twist. Then we'll go ahead and pause there. If that's plenty for you, stay. You're going to keep on looking towards the mat. Headbutt through to the front of the mat. Get long through your spine, and if you choose, left arm's going to go up. You could stay there for 1 beat or join us for 5. You can stay for half. Good job with that neck. It's still trying to grow long. It's still staying in line with the spine. One more breath here. Stick it out. You've got it. You've got child's pose right after this. Drop the hands, the knee. Child's pose. Toes together. Knees apart. Reach out in front of you. Settle on in. Nice and long through the head. A lot of times people will have a block and put the block underneath their forehead and let the block be a nice surface for their head. Sometimes that's nice too. One more breath there. You're still dropping that tail towards the ground, not forcing it, just inviting it. And does it still feel like you have a lot of length through your neck? And the tops of your shoulders are just hanging out. Inhale, come on up to all fours. Letting that breath all the way out. Notice what happens to the head. For some of us, it just loves to be forward. You're going to bring that head in line with the spine. The left leg can go back if you choose. Maybe right hand comes to that low back, making sure there's not a twist or a tip. It's nice and level back there. And then lastly, if you choose, right hand can go. Your head is looking down at the mat. Your head butting the front of the mat. Nice and long through that neck. Maybe navel towards the spine to really help everything along. For 1 beat, you can stay for all 5. You got one more breath to go here. Make sure that neck is really soft, but the tops of the are long, but the tops of the shoulders are soft. Drop the hands to the knee, toes together, knees apart. Reach those hands out in front. Again, if you want to bring the palms together and bring the thumbs towards the shoulder blades, if that feels nice and stretchy. And we'll bring those hands down. If they're up, then we'll come on into all fours. From here, we're going to walk our hands to the right, just to the right side of our mat. Try to keep your hands at a nice distance here. Your head, again, is right in line with the spine. And then you're going to melt your heart, and you're going to round your spine. And you're going to try to keep your head in line with the spine, so it's going to go down and up instead of tucking under and up. So we're melting our heart, keeping the head in line with the spine, looking down as we just do a few scapular push-ups. What you really are trying to feel here is as you melt your heart, your shoulder blades are coming together and your head stays in line with the spine. As you push your hands into the mat, you feel your shoulder blades separate. Do that 2 more times. Connect the breath in. Might feel like a little or a ton of work. And then once you push your hands into the mat and come to neutral, you're going to start to walk your hands even more over to the right if it feels doable. You might end up starting to look towards your toes or imagining you could see your tail right now. But as you go, what happens to your head? Does it go down to get you further? We're looking for that head to stay in line with the spine and then going on over. Sometimes the body says, I'm going to find the path of least resistance. And today we're just being aware of head in line with that spine. One more breath here. Inhaling, coming back to center. Exhaling over to the left side, so you're not going very far, you're just bringing your hands to the left, and then you're playing with those scapular push-ups. So the heart melts, the shoulder blades you feel come closer towards your spine. Your head is not forward, it is in line with your spine. Then push those hands into the mat, feel your upper back round, head doesn't tuck, it stays again in line with the spine. So it's like an elevator going down when you melt your heart, and it's coming up as you push your hands into the mat. Down and up. Melt that heart. Sometimes people like to take their hands a little bit wider to see if it changes anything. 2 more. Back to center, walk your hands on over to that left side. Go as far as your body's willing. Then you're going to take your head, make sure it's in line with the spine first. Then you're going to start to look back towards your toes or maybe your tail, but you're not going to let your head drape forward. You got 2 breaths here. Coming back to center. Now we're going to end up in standing, so however you want to get there, go ahead and find that. he's teasing us, and I'm just looking at this candy this whole time. I'm like, I want to nibble that. All right, tops of our toes towards the top of the mat, palms forward. And then as you inhale, the palms are going to stay up, so your pinkies are all even, try to rotate up towards the sky. Tops of the shoulders stay nice and soft. And then as you exhale, your palms are going to go down and you're going to free fall. Nice swan dive, nice and slow. Core lets you go slow as you come all the way over. Inhale, halfway look up, find elongation through your spine. So even here, notice if your head's trying to pop itself forward of the spine, pretend like you have that ponytail is lifting you up to the sky, and forward folds again. This time you get to just let your head do whatever the heck it wants to do and drop. Arms are heavy, bending the knees is always nice. 2 breaths here. On your next inhale, choice to ragdoll on up. So I like to bend my knees a lot. Round, stack. So you're going to stack one vertebrae at a time on top of each other. Especially noticing when you get to the shoulders. The shoulders come right in line with the spine. The head comes in line with the spine. And then lastly, we'll bring those arms up when you're ready. Breath in, maybe look on up. Maybe the hands go a little bit back behind the head, opening up the heart. Exhale, hands to heart center. Again, like that. Inhale, shine it up, open things up. Make sure the tops of the shoulders aren't grippy. Exhale, all the way over you go. Inhale, halfway look up. Make sure the head is in line with the spine. Exhale, let the belly lead the way, then the chest, then the head drops and it gets to free for all, whatever it wants to do. Remembering it's not bad to have the head in front of the spine. We just don't want to do it all the time. Inhale, rise and reach this time, coming all the way up. Reaching those arms up overhead. Maybe this time it feels good to bring your hips forward and your hands back behind you. If it doesn't, don't do it. You just stand proper. Exhale, bring those hands back to heart center. Okay, so if you have 2 blocks, I'm going to encourage you to get those. If you are feeling really stuck today, a chair might be something nice to do. If you're feeling super duper stuck, you might even try the wall. But what we're going to do today is we're going to have the 1 block at this low level, and then the other block stacked right on top of its friend. And then it's going to be to the left foot. So I've kind of rearranged things so that I can be up as high as possible, but still steady with my block. Now this could be a chair, or you could even use the wall today. From there, you're going to take your right foot back into a short stride. Right toes are going to point to the right. And for right now, I just want you to go back into any old stride your body is going to take. So with back, just do it. However, now we're going to take the right hand to the right hip. Left arm's going to reach up. Now as the left arm reaches up, hopefully that brings your head a little bit further back in line with the spine. Now your job is to keep noticing the head in line with the spine. And then you're going to reach out. That's going to try to get the head out, but you're going to keep the head in line with the spine. And then slowly find your blocks. Now yes, we're going into triangle pose, but I'm inviting you to stay out of it today in the hips because I want you to rotate in the upper body. So try this first. It might feel really funky to you. So your left hand are on your blocks, chair, or wall. Then you're going to invite your left hip back in space. So left hip's going to rotate and rock backwards. From here, you're going to keep your left hip where it's at. Invite your navel, just your navel, not your left hip, to the right. So left hip stays, navel turns to the right, chest turns to the right, head turns to the right. My head is still in line with my spine. Right fingertips might go up to the sky. Okay? From here, you might see if your head could gaze up towards your fingertips, because we haven't taken you so deep into the pose that that position's not possible. And take a deep breath here. Exhale, take that top hand to the hip. Start to look down at your mat again. See if your head went forward. Bring it in line with the spine. Bend your front knee. Lift yourself out of the pose. Step towards the top of the mat. Just keep your blocks where they're at because we're going to use them. So pause here. We're going to bring one hand to our chest, right up by our collarbones. One hand to our back if that's doable. Okay? From here, I just want you to invite space. So as you breathe in, the front of the body moves forward, the back of the body moves backwards, and then as you breathe out, you just settle on in. So see if you can just be in your body right now, breathing, inviting breath into the space. You might not feel anything, but if you get into your subtle body, you'll feel a lot. The shoulders are still soft. Let the arms drop, let them go. Now, if you are able to get into this position and really open up and turn your head, I'm going to invite you, you might lose a block. But if there wasn't much mobility allowing you to turn, I'm going to invite you to stay where you were at and do it again, okay? So we're going to take right foot back. It's going to be the same pose. Now this time you're going to take your right foot back, but I'm going to ask you to go a little bit wider with your feet, meaning you're not going to be on a tightrope, but you might be on like a railroad track kind of action, okay? From there, you're going to take your right hand to your hip, left hand up to the sky. Head's in line with the spine. Just keep it there. Reach forward. Make sure the head stays in line with the spine. Find your blocks. It could be the high block or the lower blocks. Look down at your mat and then start to turn your navel to the right, your chest to the right, your gaze to the right. Left hip stays back in space. Push through the crown of the head. Pretend like you're headbutting the front of the room. Now, right arm goes up to the sky if you choose, and then see if you can get more mobility turning your head up towards the sky. Okay, so we're just changing your hips a little bit to see if we can get more. It might invite more, it might invite less, but now you're aware, maybe. Breath in, reach up to the sky. Breath out if you want to go a little bit lower, you can. But just notice if that starts to tighten things in your spine or your upper body. Top hand to the hip, bend into your front knee, come on up. Top of the mat you go. Good. All right, whatever you want to do to kind of shake that out, and then when you're ready, we'll go to the other side. So most likely you will just be able to turn yourself. So I can see you, I'm going to revolve. So now we've got blocks to the outside of the foot. They could be on the inside too, that's fine. Right foot to the blocks, left foot now goes back into a short stride, pigeon toe back foot. Left hand to the hip. Right arm's going to go up. Now, where are you looking? Usually it's down. We're going to try to look at the horizon. Keep our head in line with our spine. Reach forward, keep the head in line with the spine. Can you slowly find those blocks? That's your core, hello. And then you're going to take your right hip and invite it back in space. So it stays where it's at. Then your navel's going to turn to the left, your chest to the left, your gaze to the left. Maybe that left arm up to the sky. But maybe this side feels totally tighter and you're like, no, thank you, that's fine. We're gonna do it twice, so maybe the second time we do the arm. Breath in. Breath out. Head still in line with the spine. You're still long through your spine. Top hand to the hip. Bend into your front knee. Push through your front foot and lift yourself out of the pose. Top of the mat you go. Shake, move, whatever you need to do. Okay, then we'll just adjust the hips just a little bit. So your feet are right up underneath your pelvis. You take your left foot, and it's not on the tightrope, but kind of a railroad trackish. So your feet, you got a little bit of width. Then same thing, left hand to the hip, right arm up. Notice how I continuously I'm looking down. I'm gonna start to look up. This has been 15 years though, so I'm still trying, right? And then reach your top hands up to the sky, head in line with the spine, reach forward, but your head doesn't go forward. Maybe you find the same blocks or you go lower, but right hip's back. Belly turns to the left, head turns to the left, maybe left arm up to the sky. Maybe your head starts to turn up to the sky. Heads in line, beautiful job, Dave. Oops, breathe in, breathe out. Maybe you go a little bit lower, or you just stay and say, all right, my spine is nice and long here, it's beautiful. Top hand to the hip. Bend into your front knee. Push through your front foot, lift yourself out of the pose, and top of the mat you go. Oh yeah. Let's now get our goodies off to the side. And then we'll return. Inhale, bring those arms on up. Gaze at the horizon and then maybe on up. Exhale, can you keep your gaze at the horizon as you slowly lower yourself all the way down? Inhale, halfway look up. Look down at your mat now. Exhale, all the way over you go. Place your hands down, bring yourself into all fours, and then we'll find ourselves in seated. If you want to sit up on something, you sure can. We are going to go into cow face, so I encourage you to sit up on something because it helps you, for most of us, get deeper into the pose. All right, so you're going to start with your sit bones at the edge of the thing, and then you find those sit bones first, because that's you rooting down to be tall. Let your shoulders drop away from the ears. Is your head already forward? And bring it in line with the spine. Now, one caveat to that is if your head is used to be forward and you try to jet it back in line with the spine, it's going to take some time, so it might fight you. So if your head's still a little bit forward, that's okay. You're trying to start to get length and better posture. Drop those shoulders again. Now, we'll take our right heel, bring it towards our left bone. And then notice how my right hip and my right knee, they're trying to be like in line, or maybe my knee's a little bit over towards the middle. My right foot might be out to the side. There might even be a nice block here under my knee, okay? Make it work for your body. Now, you could keep your left foot here, or you could cross it over, and then everything says, whoa, right? Here, we have to get our sit bones invited down towards the ground, okay? So then you say, well, maybe not today, or you're like, okay, I can wiggle things around and maybe do something that looks like cow face pose. And some days we just fake it till we make it, right? So once we do this kind of pretzel with our pelvis, then the upper body's like, having to readjust itself, right? And then the head goes in line with the spine to the best of our ability. Left arm's gonna reach up. You're looking out at the horizon, that's awesome. Hand goes back towards your shoulder blades. Now what happens in this position is, for most of us, our head's gonna come forward. So you might have to back out a little bit. Your hand might be to your neck or to the base of the skull so the head's not forward today. Lengthen. Now, whatever you can do, maybe the right hand goes to the elbow and you encourage it down, but again, we're not going forward. We're doing less today to keep that head in line with the spine. For most of us, this is going to be our position. If you get wild and crazy and you want to try to touch both the hands, that's fine. But for most of us, we are happy to be here in the best position we can be today. You've got 3 breaths here. Last breath. Is your head forward? It's okay if it is, but just be aware. Unwind those arms. Unwind those legs. Feet out in front of you. Let's take a hold of the knees if that feels doable. We're just going to let them drape side to side. It doesn't have to be anything big. We're just giving those hips a little bit of a pause. So I'm noticing right away my shoulders are nice and open and my hips are like, oh man, the Tin Man today. We didn't work on them much. We still got them open, but they might not want to do as much as they normally do, and that's okay. Breath in, breath out. All this stuff we're aware of, and then we just say breath in, breath out. All right, now we've got left heel coming towards right bum. And then we start with the knee coming towards the midline, maybe that left foot reaching on out. Some of you might have knee injuries or hip stuff. Block is totally great. You might keep your right foot, bring it closer to the knee, or up and over it goes. The full pose is knees stacked. Does it matter? No, I just want you to have a little bit of twist in the spine. And I want both of your sit bones to attempt to be on your prop or your mat. From there, you're sitting up tall. Looking out at the horizon, soft eyes. Right arm up, breath in, reach it up. As you bring it down, and imagine the hand going between the shoulder blades. You might bring that head forward. That means you might back off for today. So your head's in line. Wherever you can go, reaching that right hand down your back is great. Left hand might come up and around, or this is the best option for today for most of us. Left hand grabs that elbow. We're very aware. We try not to let the head go forward. We're looking out at the horizon, and maybe we even close the eyes and picture a beautiful sunrise. The most beautiful sunrise you've ever seen. How did that allow you to feel? Where your shoulders dropped as you just take it all in. Unwinding those arms, letting those legs come out in front. You might move them around or you might head right to your back. We are into that Shavasana stage, so if you are saying my low back is ouch, 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 put your feet up the wall or on the couch or on the chair, or get yourself a nice cushion underneath the knee. Or if none of those work, then you just find something that does. Once we arrive on the back, that space where our shoulders and neck meet, let that space drop. Maybe you can feel it gently pushing into the mat, or you feel your shoulder blades. Let that head be heavy. And if that requires a pillow, that's okay. But one day we do want to be able to be comfortable without a pillow. Allowing yourself to settle on in here, taking your time to just be. Checking in, the mind might have roamed away off of your mat. That's okay. Let your head drop heavier. Let your jaw soften. Let your eyes soften. Start to deepen your breath. Imagine that breath could go right into that space where the shoulders and neck meet, building freedom and space. Allowing a subtle turn of the head side to side allows you to build a little bit more freedom and space. When your body's ready, we'll make our way slowly on up to seated. Remember, you can always end your practice on your back or a position that works for you. Once you get up there, hopefully by now I've repeated it enough that you're like, where is my head at? And again, if our head's been forward a lot and you put it forward or throw it back, it's going to revolt. So you're just inviting it slowly. What allows the tops of your traps to soften? Hands can be at the knees or a place that resonates with you. Maybe that's heart center. Taking a moment to appreciate you took this time for yourself, for self-care, for taking care of your neck